Hit it, boys.
All right. So, all right. So welcome to episode 2, season 1 of Odd Leaf Stories, Braven. We've got a good friend of ours, a person we met out at MJ BizCon in Las Vegas in November.
Yep.
Her name is Anita Sommers, and she is affectionately known in the industry as the CBD Genie. And it was kind of cool. We met Anita just walking around the Las Vegas Convention Center, and she came up to Alex and I when we were there doing a presentation for Ionization Labs. She saw us in lab coats, and she came up and was talking to us.
She handed you an old ancient lamp, and she said,
I'm
"Rub this."
the CBD Genie. No, she came up to us and we started talking, and she asked us a couple minutes in where we were from. We said Austin, Texas, and she just stopped and her jaw dropped, and that's when we found out that she was from not only Texas but Austin as well. And so we definitely had to get her into the studio. She's got tremendous passion. She loves what she does. People love her. She's got a science background. She works in a lab. She's degreed in science. She's awesome. She's a professional.
She's academic.
She's wonderful, and you'll see you'll see her. And we actually have a special announcement on this show to talk about some ongoing work we're going to do with her. But again, really excited to have her in the studio in Odd Leaf Studios today. Braven, anything to add?
CBD Genie. I bought a car.
You brought a car?
I bought a car the other day.
Is this going to be like a Geico?
The other day, yeah.
So Braven now has wheels. He's got a whip.
No, there's a story that goes with this, I bought it Cree, you've seen it. It's a pimp mobile, and I bought it from a former pimp, basically, and
literally.
Hopefully.
Okay.
And I want it to be authentic, and he was telling me because he was asking me about my work. I was telling him about everything we were doing, and he was like, I went to the store the other day, and these guys were selling like straight up bud, like straight loud bud, but it was like it said something on it like ABC, CBD, yeah,
CBD,
yeah, CBD. It was hemp, and I had to explain that to him. I was like, yeah, that's not.
Oh, you ruined it for him. He thought it was straight up buying something
ABC
that wasn't.
weed. So that's my CBD related story.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Should I give a shout out? Should I do my?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll just do it right
Yeah.
now. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're really excited about this episode and looking forward to it. It's number 2, so I guess it's not the. We're gonna keep going, but
we made it to 2.
We made it to
pilot
2.
episode off the ground.
Yeah. So I'd like to give a shout out and thanks to our title sponsor, CannID, sponsored by Ionization Labs, in-house potency testing for the hemp and marijuana industry. If you're looking to get serious with your in-house testing and you want data to back up claims and for your business, CannID. You can look at CannID on the Ionization Labs website, www.ionizationlabs.com. With that, thank you, Ionization Labs.
Thank you, Ionization Labs.
Great. Episode 2.
Let's do it. All right, fade to her.
Okay. Everybody, welcome to Odd Leaf Stories, episode number 2, season number 1. Joining us today is actually a really good friend of the family, Anita Sommers. She's here, affectionately known and professionally known as the CBD Genie. So, Anita, I am so excited to have you here. It's been a long time coming. We'll also have a special announcement at the end of the show regarding Anita and how she's going to be spending a little bit more time with us. But with that, so Anita, we met, a few months back. We spent some time together at Hempstock. You were kind enough to invite us to Texas Normal during South by Southwest, and you were very kind to host me and the company, and we really appreciate that. And I kind of want to open it up. I want to ask you some basic questions just so people can get to know you. Anita, first of all, give us your professional background. You've got a science background, which is really exciting. It's a professional science background. She's a lab rat, like us.
True story.
Yeah, and so Anita, I want to leave it open to you. Just tell us a little bit about you. Let the audience sort of get to know you, because again, we're going to spend some more time with you.
Yes.
And anyway, with that, I'm going to be quiet and try to be quiet.
All right, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me. I definitely am excited to be here anytime we can keep the cannabis conversation going. So my background is, in a nutshell, goes like this. I was in the Air Force for 8.5 years. After that, I went to Texas Tech University, where I earned my Bachelor's of Science in Cell and Molecular Biology with a minor in Chemistry and Spanish. To understand nature's compounds, I got my certification to be an essential oils coach. For the past 11 years, I've been in the medical profession, and I've been diagnosing infectious diseases in the microbiology department for human specimens for almost 7 years now to present. And my passion and my why stems from having a cannabis testimony. I actually used a cannabis suppository, and being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and going up and down that battle for almost 10 years, I dodged the hospital. So it led me to have a personal passion and why I needed to get out there and do this. Also, I lost both of my parents to cancer, 10 months apart from each other, not knowing the research and not understanding the phytocannabinoids and all their properties. And now, with all this knowledge that I'm getting as I've been traveling all over the country, now I just want to share and spread the sense of awareness, leading with science.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you had you took your passion and you combined it with your education.
Yes.
And now you are full bore into the CBD Genie.
That's right.
and what have you been doing with that? How did you start the platform? And let me tee this up. So how we tee up every episode is, so yeah, what's your odd leaf story?
Yeah. Okay.
So how did it all come together?
It all came together like this. I knew I wasn't going to learn anything here in Texas, so I had to get out there to where it was actually happening. So I did my due diligence, and I traveled all over the country. Walkthroughs of farms, walkthroughs of labs, attending cannabis compliance summits, cannabis science conferences, just learning it all from the professionals, the MDs, the other fellow scientists who are doing this in the states where they actually have access to do so. So I just went around, did my due diligence, and while I was out, I actually had my flare-up happening. I was actually at MJ BizCon in Vegas in 2017.
Another.
We'll come back to that. Yeah.
That's where
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so wow. So 2 years ago.
So I had that incident, but this was the first time while having a flare-up that I had access to cannabis. Because I've been here in Texas, dealing with this hurdle and in and out of the hospital, no access. For the first time in my life, I had a flare-up, I had access, and I was able to use the cannabis suppository, which I got at MJ BizCon, and like I said, for the first time dodged the hospital, and that's what got me going, because not only did I go out seeking answers, I was able to gain a cannabis testimony in that. It was like the scientific method happened. I had my problem. I was able to do the observations, the testing, and everything with my body, because we're all guinea bigs.
And it's empowering.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to self-heal,
right?
And to be able to take. I can imagine how important it is to taking control back of your life from something that's really really challenging.
And you know what? It's kind of amazing because the cannabis space has literally changed me as a person. It has helped me with my overall wellness and just understanding like what I eat and how I treat my body and the nutritional value, because with the cultivation steps, right, you need to know the nutrients and the pH of the water and the sunlight in order for this beautiful plant to be able to be personalized medicine. So in understanding the whole cultivation process with the plant, it just helped me have an understanding with my own wellness and my own body. And to be able to have that access, that's what I want to spread across Texas and just get that sense of awareness that every synthetic drug out there is a replica of nature. And cannabis is such a beautiful plant that's economic growth and wellness.
Can you share with us the formulation for that ailment that you had? Is there a THC, CBD, or any of the other exotics combinations?
So beyond phytocannabinoids, you have to understand the terpenes and their therapeutic properties. So beta-caryophyllene is actually a really good compound, or terpene rather, that has a lot of therapeutic properties for the intermucosal lining of the membrane. Yes. So, well, and here that's a special question because everybody responds differently, right? So there's some people who could eat a peanut and actually pass away, right? Because their body responds, they have a response to that. So you have to understand that every single one of us has a different deficiency. Think about just background, family history. Have you been taking opioids and antibiotics, and have you been doing this over time? Your tolerance.
And the gut, yeah. It affects your gut.
So many variables. So we just need to understand that, I guess the more that we learn, I feel like I'm realizing that we don't know much about cannabis. And this is what I like to compare it to. If you think about the ocean, and you think about the sunlight, where it actually reaches the depth of the ocean, we know all that. But do we know the deep sea? Oh my gosh, no, there's so much down there that we have no idea about. So the same thing with cannabis. We know the dominant compounds, THC and CBD and all the other ones that CBC, CB, and CBO. There are more. But we don't really know how they all work together with the terpenes, with the flavonoids.
The
entourage effect. And then when you think about like cancers, there's over 200 cancers. So there's so many variables, and that's what's the beauty of learning more and getting involved with cannabis, and that's what I like to inspire in others to do the research.
So how,
understand how it works.
So what's a scenario that can put together what you are talking about with the ailments? We're all different. So what is it going to take? I mean, it's going to take, first of all, obviously, legalization on a large scale.
Yeah.
And then a lot of groups getting together to do case studies and run experiments.
Right.
And
vertical integration as well. Knowing the grow, the lab, the dispensary, like all of that, when you have that control, it's a lot easier to basically collect the data. Because if you don't know a grower or where the product is coming from, you're already in
the unknown area.
Basically.
So you're guessing.
So you really, exactly, without the lab, you're always guessing.
Right.
So if you have the vertical integration with all those steps together, that's where the magic is, where it is literally personalized medicine, because you understand the compounds that are present, the yield, the potency of those compounds, and then if you can do the testing, right, microbial testing, the residuals, the solvents, just having all of this testing is amazing, because when you have a patient who's immune compromised, you don't want to help them tip the scale. You're trying to
You don't want to compromise somebody's and there's a problem right now. I think there's been a couple of cases, bad cases with mycotoxins.
Yeah.
Out in California, they had a whole batch go out with some mycotoxins that really, they literally killed, sadly, a number of people because they're already immune deficiency. They were in that position. So let me ask another question, kind of to that therapeutic side. What can you share with us an experience? You don't have to use names, of course, but can you share a personal experience where you actually empowered somebody with information that ended up being a real positive experience, or something that you can reference, something recently or within the last couple of years?
As far as
I know that you
others?
touch a lot. Yeah, because I know you touch a lot of people.
Yeah.
You really, you are out there everywhere. That's part of the reason I wanted to get
sure.
you out here. You're out there, you're passionate, a lot of people know you. I really wanted to get you here get this platform out there for you to reach more people. But I just wondered if you had an experience that you could share with us.
Yeah, well, I've actually gotten a lot of positive feedback, mainly in the science community as well, that people didn't realize that the analytical diagnostics existed, right? Because even in my lab alone, we are an analytical diagnostic lab for human specimens. The fact that their skills and their talents literally could just cross over to cannabis is amazing. Same thing with with food, right? There's analytical food laboratories, like the applied knowledge. So there's a lot of people in that, I guess, field realizing, oh wow, when this comes around, I'm actually ahead of the game, because you can't just have been a cannabis advocate all your life and then believe that you're just going to jump into the lab. Right. You need to have lab skills.
No, absolutely.
So in order to get there, there's a couple of steps involved, and then once you get there, you're smooth sailing, autopilot.
Then you could specialize,
right?
As it were, once you develop those base skills.
So my science friends are excited because they're like, "Wow, this is awesome,"
right.
But we just don't really have that here yet.
Now, a couple of things. I want to touch upon some of your journeys recently. You've been traveling. You've done a couple speaking engagements. And then I also want to circle around to the politics of our local state here in Texas. And I know you've been very, very actively involved. So I do want to circle around to that too, because it's very important, because that will open up the opportunity for a lot of things to happen here in the state of Texas that have not happened before. Right. So first of all, tell me about some of your recent journeys.
Wow. Okay, let's see. What was the last one?
You spoke at that you actually had a speaking engagement at.
Actually, the last one I was in Tarrant County, out in Fort Worth.
Okay.
We was with DFW Normal, and we started off and we had speakers out at Burnett Park, and then we marched out to the courthouse, and we had a couple of other dynamic speakers out there, just getting everybody, going. I personally like to stay in my lane and just talk science,
right?
Because politics are, I don't have to get into that too much, but
politics has to happen in order to
open
up the door where people can come out and then resources can be applied. And so, but I mean, you were fairly active with Texas Normal.
All the Texas Normal. Actually getting you out there when I emceed out Texas Normal, as well as all the way up in Amarillo with Foundation of Informed Texas, all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley, which is extremely progressive for that area, because we're talking, you're almost at the border right there. Right. So that's a whole different area. So to be with the trailblazers, the people who are just getting it out there, getting the information out there, there's so many amazing, beautiful souls that the passion just runs, you can just feel it. It's a vibration, a frequency that everyone is just moving. And if you feel that calling, if you hear that calling, you have to understand that whatever you do in this world can be brought to the cannabis space. We need everyone, and the economic growth is endless in a sense. Whether if you're doing it with seeds or stalks or the flower, are you doing the 20,000 modern uses of cannabis sativa, right? Hemp, right? If you want to break down the words, or with the leaves, with medicinal properties, with all the phytocannabinoids that you find in the trichomes. Juicing it.
When we're out in California, people are just recently saying, why don't we juice these stalks and these leaves? And it's incredible.
Yes.
The value, the medicinal value of that alone.
Absolutely.
People, and there's so much to it. And I encourage people out there that are, experienced in the industry, and thank you for joining us, and people that are new and that are just kind of coming out or just understanding what this is all about. It's not necessarily an industry. It's a incredible God-given product that's out here in the world, and it's so many, like Anita was saying, it's not only just so many parts of it, the interfaces of it that people, it's just going to be developing ongoing. And I don't think there's been anything else like this in the last multiple centuries that's come out, that's this profoundly impactful.
Yeah, and the diversity, the people that cannabis brings together is the most beautiful crowd that you would never it's like music in a sense, right?
Health. I mean, everybody wants health and
wellness,
longevity and
yes,
and
the
wellness.
natural way.
All right, guys, can you take a break and give an ad read?
Hey, we've got to pay the sponsorship for this. So without any further ado, we'd like to Odd Leaf Stories would like to thank Can ID, powered by Ionization Labs, bringing in-house potency testing to cultivators and extractors around the world. Can ID, simply accurate. Please visit Can ID at Ionization Labs, www.ionizationlabs.com. I'm sure you'll find it of great interest. Thank you very much to Ionization Labs and Can ID.
Carry on.
That was good. Okay.
Carry on.
Carry on. We're going to carry on. So,
That's great.
We're talking about our furry four-legged babies and family members. Yes. So Anita, CBD applying to animals. I mean, tell me what are some of your thoughts there? I know you're focused mainly on the human aspect, but do you know anything about the?
Well, I've gotten a lot of feedback just from others who have said that their pets have not had as much anxiety. You know, that they actually do calm down and relax, and they're not so uptight. So I've heard a lot of good hyper
puppies.
or whenever they're what am I trying to say, when they're left alone and they're
anxiety,
like separation anxiety,
yes.
anxiety, where they're just like going silly until their owner gets back. You know, I've heard some good news and positive feedback on that, but since it's literally opening a can of worms just with humans, it's difficult to say, but the one positive thing though with pets is that they're not going to fake it. Like if you can see, if you can see a positive response,
it's a positive response.
That's what it is. They're not just going to be like, oh, I hope we can boost some sales with this product. You know, this is all honest
the pet
feedback.
placebo. That's funny.
So yeah, I've heard positive feedback on that.
That's great.
So
yeah, I just had to ask that. I mean, a lot of our audiences, they're pet owners and
for
pet
sure.
owners. So tell me, what are some of your plans coming up? What are your goals with this incredible mission you've got?
Oh wow! So my biggest goal, and I'm just going to put this out in the universe because this is what I really want.
Right.
I want to have, and I'm working with some friends, and particularly Brooks. We want to have a cannabis science fair. We want to educate the medical professionals. We want to get them involved in an understanding, because it's hard. It's hard to do that, especially that means they have to go outside of the state to get this education. So what I really want to do is bring the MDs, bring the scientists, bring the people that I've met in my travels, bring them all here in one location.
To do a workshop, a multiple-day workshop?
Yes, and get people in the know. Get people educated, because without that, we're continuously going to be behind. But as soon as they get into the awareness and the understanding, the science behind it all, I mean, that's where we fall short.
You've got a critical mass you're building up.
Right, so that's what
Western traditional, and then bringing it in.
That's a huge battle right there.
Well,
so.
they're the front lines.
Yeah.
So they're the prescribers. So what is your understanding of, and don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
What's your understanding of the medical marijuana legalization, or the amendments that are coming up or that have been presented? And then also we'll talk about hemp and what that means to our state as well. So what?
Yeah, well, so with House Bill 3703, originally it was just for intractable epilepsy. So the amendments have been to take off the word intractable. So now it's just epileptic patients, MS patients, and patients with spasms, which clearly still that is not inclusive. To say compassionate use program and to only allow certain patients is not exactly compassionate.
So the PTSD one and the cancers were.
So 1365, no sir, that got left behind. So as an Air Force veteran with a service-connected disability, Texas left me behind. So PTSD is a very common disability, or service-connected disability for most, but it's not the only one. And we're all patients in Texas, and chronic pain being leading, right, inflammation, all of these ailments. Why are we getting, don't get me wrong, I'm compassionate for the ones that are able to get this, but still, it's only for 0.5% THC, so that's still not even, it's still crumbs, but it's a start.
And you have to start, but it's also because of the educational factor.
Right.
People don't understand, most, I don't think politicians understand this, but THC opens up the receptors. That's one of its benefits. It opens up the receptors to be able to utilize the benefit of CBD, which is an anti-inflammatory.
Absolutely.
And most dis-ease, right? If you break it down, that's what it really means. Your body is at dis-ease. CBD, if you can mitigate and bring down your inflammation in your body can heal itself more.
Exactly.
So there's a profound baseline benefit for CBD, and that's why I really think it's neat to do the CBD Genie, because CBD is really it's a beautiful compound.
And it's I like to have fun with it and call it a promiscuous molecule in the sense that it can bind out like as an allosteric site, meaning not to the actual active site, but off to the side to many different receptors. And actually, the pharmaceutical industry target the G protein coupled receptors. That's how they actually are able to figure out what new medicine they're going to put out there. And those are the receptors that they target. Well, CBD also allosterically binds to those receptors, and that's why it is beneficial for so many different ailments.
And some of you are not seeing our video podcast, and you're just hearing it, but you should have seen her eyes just start sparkling and how she got so excited
I'm
when
so
she
passionate.
started talking about the science side of this and how it really does practically apply.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let's see. What I'd like to do is, how can we get people to your site? How can we get people to write you? I think your goal, we'd love to help you with that science symposium.
I'd love it. Oh, we could do a great job together.
We're in. We'll help you. We'll pull some resources together. But if anybody else wanted to reach out to you directly and learn more about the application of CBD, again, we're an international podcast. We're all over the world. So if you're listening out there and you want to reach out to Anita, please tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
So there's a couple of platforms. Instagram, of course, cbd.genie, Genie. Facebook, CBD Genie. You're going to find the abstract meditating pose image. You can find me you can email me, Anita at thecbdgenie.com. There's just DM me, let's get that network going, and as long as we have a strong community in Texas, then that's how we make change. We just need to stand up for what we believe in, and I believe in this. My passion, like you say, I just glow. I've never been able to feel so passionate about something in my entire life, and this is it. But I always want to also say, I have a moral compass, and if it's real easy to get sidetracked and, cut some corners, but I want to make sure that, the people that I'm connecting with are genuinely trying to do the right thing here for wellness and to help people and to educate others and to be transparent, because those are the people and the businesses that will stick around. Because, let's just be honest, in any business, it can be real easy to...
Well, especially right now, they're calling it the green rush.
Right.
And there's a lot of people jumping in, and you can see a lot of yahoos out there that are just jumping in for the money. But on that positive, wonderful note that you just left, not to jump in here. So I'd like to make an announcement that Anita. We've been talking to Anita for a couple of months now, and Anita is going to be joining us. And she's going to be doing some really neat segments on our shows. She's going to be out interviewing people.
Yes.
She's going to be taking this vast background of information that she's got, and she's going to try to spread the word out there. She's going to interview people, which is great. It's always great to interview people out in public. Some really neat interfaces. We're going to come up with some great, very poignant questions to put out to the public. So Anita, we're really excited to have you on board. And ongoing, darling.
Yes.
So this will be great.
Indeed.
And so this will be the first but not the last you will hear of the CBD Genie. And on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for our episode 2, season 1 of Odd Leaf Stories, and thank you for joining us. Till next time.
That's a wrap.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow, that was great. That was great. Thank you for Anita to spend time coming in.
Yeah.
If you hear a little bit of audio glitches, it's because
because robots are hacking into our...
Yeah, right. It's because it's the second episode and we're still getting our ish together.
A raccoon bit through one of our cables.
A raccoon bit through one of our cables?
Yeah.
You know, we have Nutria here in Texas.
Oh, well.
Yeah, on near my house.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this is a waste of time, but anyway, so I live right near the lake, and I'm literally my lawn is getting. I'm getting to tell a story too, because you told a story earlier about your new whip.
We're yarn weavers here.
We're yarn weavers. So I live near the lake here in Texas, and I spend a lot of time on my front lawn, and I noticed that dirt was getting dug into and pulled out. It's not down up, so it wasn't a mole.
Right.
And I wake up early in one morning, and I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And I walked out. I see this big fat rat just slowly walking up the hill, like he had just had a great evening digging in my lawn. And it's one of those Nutria from Louisiana.
Right.
It's a big ass rat.
Close enough to migrate.
Yeah,
over.
BAR, big ass rat.
Ah.
So anyway, that's my livestock, or not livestock.
That's your livestock.
That's a.
I don't want to eat any homemade jerky ever again from you.
It's real good. Nutria. What is it? Natural. No, it's natural.
Never heard of that type of deer before.
Did you say natural? Yeah, natural. No,
natural
you said
jerky?
Nutrient? It's Nutrium. Anyway, yeah, no, it's not livestock, but it's wow. I also have deer walking in the back of my. It's really cool, and I live near town.
That's true. This is amazing.
But anyway.
Cool. All right.
Thank you. Cut me off. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. It's always a pleasure, and we promise to get better and better with every episode, and we appreciate you checking back with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And also, I'd like to really give a shout out to Purple Haze Radio and Media. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Love
you
you guys.
Bye, guys.
Sweet dreams. Now that's a wrap.
That was fun.
That was good.
That's fun.
Good.